Hello Internet, welcome to the post-mortem for Midnight, the Asylum game jam that I built over this weekend. I should stop messing with the mouse. So I've already filmed this once, but the audio was awful. So we're going to try this again, and this time it's going to go great. So, this is Midnight. It's a game built for the Asylum Jam. I already said that, but the Asylum Jam is a game jam about creating a horror game or something horror-like that doesn't use some of the stigmas of the normal horror genre. So it doesn't have like those crazy hospitals or the mentally deranged psycho killer person. It's about kind of getting away from some of that and kind of using other ways to create a horror experience. And so this is sort of what I came up with. Midnight is kind of uses light and the lack of light as sort of a way to create that suspense. So there's one light source in the game, besides these like glowing accent lights. There's only one light source. You can kind of see it at the end of the hallway there, but that's sort of how this works. So you start the game here in this little room, and there's nothing here. It's just an empty room. There is, nothing. So you see at the very end that kind of glow. Hopefully that indicates that's where you're supposed to go. That was sort of the idea. I don't really know what else you'd do, but yeah, that's sort of the intro to the game. I should mention before we continue, this was made in 48 hours. Some of the assets used, like there's some sci-fi assets used from manufacturer K4, and some volumetric lighting and post effects and stuff that aren't developed in that time limit. But all the coding, all the game and stuff is all put together in that 48-hour period. So it's not done. It's far from that, and I didn't get as far as I wanted to, but I don't know. It was fun, and I learned some things. So we're gonna kind of walk through, and I'll show you what I did. So as you go down this hallway, you kind of see this fun little animation of the creature that was kind of lying by the light running away, and that took longer than expected. That animation took me probably 2 hours to get right, just because there's a lot of positioning and tweaking of the actual light to actually get everything to kind of work, and then actually animating that and doing everything to get that whole thing to kind of just happen, and measuring out the steps and stuff so you didn't actually see what was there. All of that just took a bunch of time. So yeah, that's a thing. As you continue down, you'll notice there's nothing actually here. The room is empty, and you'll actually get a tutorial. So we get to take up the light orb, which is the light source in this game, and so it kind of hovers over your shoulder and does all these fun, cool, spinny effects. The art for that orb took a while. It's using some Uber shaders, which is a shader package, in order to do the refraction on the orb itself. Inside, it's actually just a bunch of spinning circles, doing different things, and then the refraction itself kind of warps them and gives them sort of that magical look. But yeah, that's sort of that. And so the way this works is you can kind of pull it up. It kind of hovers there. It's all attached by a spring, so it just kind of bounces around a little bit, which I personally like. At times it can be a little bit annoying because it'll like bounce and get stuck on things, but I thought it kind of gave it that free floating aspect. But you can also throw it, so it actually flies off into the scene. So in this case, it kind of hovers by that door, and you can there's a limit, so it can go that far. That's as far as you can throw it, and then you can always recall it back, and it just kind of hangs over your shoulder. So the idea here is you use this light orb to power things, specifically those things. If you don't understand how to open the door, I did create a really nice little tutorial hint here. I don't know if anybody's ever going to see this, but it does exist. And it's pretty much a really crappy drawing saying throw this into that, and then that happens, which is effectively saying make door open by throw light. Yeah, so you can either do this and it will open, or you can actually just walk over. The initial levels are kind of designed to ease you into it. So as you enable these, there's a trigger that fires to actually open the door. That's something that I kind of worked on. The triggering system I spent a lot of time on. There's a lot of debugging stuff behind the scenes that actually happens. This specific room is really tall. It goes on far higher than you can see. So like you can see sort of a blackness up there. That's the end of the light. The room itself is actually much taller than that, and that's by design. There was going to be stuff up there. I just didn't have the time to build everything to get all the levels up to that point. So it's just a giant empty room, but it's tall and kind of ominous and dark. So I don't know, that's kind of the theme of this. But this room you can't complete just by walking up. You actually have to throw it. And so it's kind of a tutorial that you can throw things and it does things. It causes things to open or whatever. So that kind of makes it so you kind of start thinking about throwing things. This next one is all about platforms. So this is a moving platform. Can't really tell yet, but there's no way across this. So there's no way for me to get over to this side. So the only way to do that is actually to walk back over here and actually throw the light onto that. It's best, I've found, if you just get on here already, which I never really had the time to kind of figure out the placement of this platform, because if you don't realize it's a platform, you'll miss it. There's also the nice little other spook there, but there's no way, if I pull this back, you'll notice the platform stops. So you can't take the light with you as you go across. And so that's sort of part of it, is you kind of have to leave it behind. You have to move on without it, and then it'll catch up later. And that's sort of a theme that I started working on more and more. This is the second to last level, so by more and more I mean not much, but it was sort of something, sort of the point of this whole thing, is you kind of have to leave it somewhere because it's useful there, and then get it at a later time. That other, like the thing running across, that was supposed to be different. I was trying to get Unity's timeline to work, but I could never actually get it to do what I wanted. So I ended up just using a running animation to get it to run across, which works, but it wasn't the effect that I wanted. So I'll probably have to go back and figure that out. But yeah, also you really start noticing the volumetric lighting. You can kind of see the dust hanging there, and I think that adds a lot. So that's a thing. But all of these up to this point, I've kind of been introducing concepts, and unfortunately it took a lot longer than I wanted. All of those took most of the time. It was this final level here. This is the last one in the game. I built this with like 8 hours left, which seems like a lot, but at that time there was no sound, there was no anything. So I had to add all of that. So this is the last level. There's no way across. You can't get over there. You can't like jump through or anything. So there's this grating up here, and then this lift that we learned of last time, and this thing that turns it on. So if I throw this here, it actually enables the platform, which kind of just bounces up and down. And so the way to do it is you jump on here and then walk across and kind of, again, abandon your light. walk over here. I had to add the computer screen so you had some light over here because it was actually pitch black and you couldn't see the stairs at all, which makes it slightly less spooky, but also it makes it actually playable. So that's a thing. But then you pull it across over here, and then you get to drop it and open the door. Then the final room is just a thanks for playing. There's not much to it. It's just saying thanks for playing. This is as far as I got, because that's as far as I got. So yeah, that's the game. It's relatively simple. There's not much to it, but I like the concept, and I really like exploring. Like, light is such a core thing. Like, you don't want to be in darkness. It's just really unsettling. And so the point, or what I was trying to do, is kind of emphasize putting you in that spot where you're like this is creepy. Like, if you're walking into this, you have no idea what you're headed towards. And so I kind of wanted to play with that, and it kind of worked. But also I tried to make it story driven. Like all those creatures you see around, there's a story there. I'm not going to get into it here because I feel like that would ruin it. It wouldn't do it justice, but there was supposed to be a story there that I just never got the time to tell because it's a game jam. And as always, I was overly ambitious, but that was the idea. There was a story there about the light and how that whole interaction between having a light source and safety, and then just darkness and fear. And so I kind of wanted to use that and kind of eliminate bad things altogether. There's no monster besides the darkness. There might be, I was kind of playing with like some actual monster type thing, but those creatures and stuff that you see, they're not evil. They're not like out to kill you or anything like malicious. They're just here for the same reason you are. And so that was sort of what I wanted to play with. It was kind of, I don't know, make an ecosystem where you're just part of it. I don't really know if it worked in what I built. I don't think there's enough time for that to have been explored fully. But that's sort of what I was going for. Yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you think there in the comments, because yeah, I don't know. It was an experiment. The final room is back here. You kind of walk by this, and it's not. I left this in because it kind of is like a Easter egg, but there's nothing here. This was sort of an experiment to see sort of how everything kind of played together. This hallway existed. It was the original build. Like everything, well, I should get this back, but everything up to this point, so everything backwards from here, that was the entire original day. Like that, just getting that and kind of building that atmosphere and the story to kind of bring that whole thing together, getting that animation at the start to work, that was the entire first 24 hours. And then the next like 16 was these next 3 levels down here. And then I ran out of time because I was, yeah, I don't know. I was trying to build something bigger than I probably should have. But yeah, so this is Midnight. It's sort of a light-based horror game. It's not really a horror game. It's more of an atmospheric adventure. Maybe a puzzle game. I don't know. But that was sort of what I was going for with it. It wasn't, I don't know. You'll have to let me know if you think it worked, what you think could be improved, things like that. Because I'm looking for feedback before I kind of continue this. Because I think we could turn this into something cool. I just think it needs some more thought first, and time. Needs a lot of time. But yeah, that's the game. That's sort of what ended up coming out of it. So yeah, let me know what you think. And if you guys participated in the Asylum Jam, let me know in the comments, and I'd love to see what you made. So that's it for this video. So until next time, see you, internet.